Jeannie Elkins Nash, and I am the little girl in Picnic Panic.
We are with Jeannie Nash, who performed in one of these cartoons when she was younger. Picnic Panic is the 7th cartoon in the Rainbow Parade series by Van Buren. This originally aired in 1935, and now, for the last 11 years, it's been showing on YouTube. Jeannie, thank you for being with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So, how did you find out about this cartoon?
Well, I was having lunch with you and James, and you asked me, did I do anything else in any other radio station besides NBC? And I said, well, yes, CBS, and I mentioned other ones. So I said, but I remember years ago I did a cartoon, and it was a movie short. And I don't remember the name of it, but all I could remember was that it was 3 little girls going on a picnic, and it rained. So it went into the cartoon. I didn't know the name, as I said, but there was a tea kettle, the cartoon, as I said, and it was a rainy day, and we couldn't go on this picnic. So James, right away he's on his phone, trying to find it. And all of a sudden he says, look what I found. And I was amazed, because I didn't think anybody would ever be able to find that thing. And we looked at it. Well, all I could do was just laugh, because I thought, what a little ham you are, Because at the very end, all this smiling real wide. And every time I've seen it, I thought, it's such a, real little ham. It's like grinning all over the place, So, but that's how it got, how we found it. And how I got to be on that, if you wanted to know how I was.
Let me ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
Now, again, this was originally aired in 1935.
That's right.
It's live action interspersed with animation. You think that's something relatively recent, but this is, again, it's from 1935. And some of the comments on YouTube, again, it's been on YouTube for the last 11 years. I want to read a couple of the comments to you.
Okay.
The first one is, when the little girl is smiling, I could swear it's Betty White. And another comment is, well, this youngest Todd is so sweet, bless her. So we understand that you have proof that this little Todd is you. Could you show us that proof?
I have the picture right at the very beginning of the story. When the thing opens, you see 2 little girls, then all of a sudden you see this little one, which is me, come up in between them. And that was done in my name, Jeannie Elkins. That was my maiden name.
Very good.
And there are the 3 little girls that I worked with.
Amazing.
And we have another picture, and this probably, you have quite a story with this, too.
That's my mother, and she used to make me up all the time.
So could you talk a little bit about that? So how you got into the cartoon?
Well, we happened to be in Woolworths 5 and 10.
Okay,
and
so you were born and raised in New York City?
No, I was born in Virginia.
Okay.
And my father's work took us to New York. And we lived in a hotel for about 3 years or more. But my mother took me, as I said, into Woolworths. And we're there, and she said, all of a sudden, this man came over, and he said he was a director for RKO. And he noticed me, and he'd like me to be in this movie short that he was doing. And would my mother take me over to the RKO studios, which she did. And that's how I got chosen.
Wow. What else do you remember about the actual taping? Do you remember that day or what happened during the taping itself?
No, I don't. It was so far. I was about 3 at the time. So,
wow.
And you don't remember too much. Little things now and then, as you get older, you think back on some of the little things that you remembered. but I don't remember anything.
So what else have you been involved in then? So your mom really got you involved in?
Well, as I said, we lived in this hotel, and there was a woman there that had two daughters that were concert pianists, and she thought I had talent. Well, she had a place up in Connecticut, and she took care of me when my mother had surgery. And she, as I said, she thought I had talent, and she'd have me sing. And I could remember singing at this big open area up in Connecticut, because it was during the summer. And first thing I ever sang was "When I Grow Too Old to Dream." And but she's the one that took me for an audition. And my mother didn't know anything about it until my mother got a telegram asking her to take me to NBC Studios for it was the Coast to Coast on a Bus radio program.
Do you remember telegrams? Go ahead.
Nope. I probably didn't see it. But that's all I knew, and she didn't know anything about it till then. So when that started, I was on the children's program, until I was about 17 years old. It went on for a number of years. And you get to be known, I guess, on different circles. And I started doing other programs. And some of the big programs, Kate Smith Hour.
Wow, that's
It
neat.
was Death Valley Days, Dr. Christian.
So who are some of the big names, stars that you remember?
Well, Helen Hayes was one, and I worked with her a number of times, and she was lovely. Oh, the nicest person. And she was someone that her fame didn't go to her head. And I could remember I had worked with her on this particular day, and she went her way and I went mine, and I was going from CBS to NBC Studios. And I was standing on the corner of Madison Avenue waiting for the light to change. And all of a sudden, this limousine pulled up, stopped, and it was Helen Hayes. And she asked me where I was going and would I like a ride. So I got a ride in her car all the way over to NBC. So that was exciting. But I worked with, on the Kate Smith Hour, with Don Amici, Al Jolson, and Nancy Kelly. And he was so nice. And
Who?
Don Amici.
Don Amici, okay.
Well, at that time, years ago, they didn't have taping of programs because the West Coast being 3 hours behind us, you'd come back, say the show was 8 or 9, you'd come back at 11 or 12 and do a repeat of the show. Well, on this one that we did for Kate Smith, we did it was either 11 or 12, I don't remember. But we were doing it, and right at the very end, when the cast was announced, well, Nancy Kelly left. So Don Amici took me by my hand, and he led me out on stage to the audience and introduced me, and I bowed and everything. And I thought that was so nice. He didn't have to do that, but he took me out and showed me up on stage.
Wow.
I mean, you get some nice people, and then you get some that couldn't care, you know. But there are a lot that I work with, probably younger people would remember, Madeline Carroll, not Kirk Douglas, but Dick, he was in that movie, where he pushed this old lady down the stairs. He was a gangster. He was a gangster, and he pushed this old lady. But I worked with him. I wish I could remember his last name.
Now, this was film, or would it have been?
This was radio.
This was all in radio. Okay.
But his this one thing that he did was that was a film that he did where he pushed this old lady
Okay,
because
I
he
see.
was a mean person. But Orson Welles, I remember working with him. And it's hard to remember, you know, some of the ones you worked with. But, and also Tallulah Bankhead.
Oh,
I worked with her. fact, on the same show, it was, I think we were doing a radio program on Lifeboat. It happened to be a movie. And Mel Ferreira, the actor, was the director of this. And Jose Ferreira was in the show. So, he's quite a character, you know. But all I could say is I've met so many people, and it really, I don't realize I was so lucky to have this opportunity. Because years ago, when I wanted to play with my friends, I'd be playing and my mother would call me, she says, you have to go in, you have a rehearsal, you have to go in, and I want to play with my friends. And she said, all right. She took me aside and she said, all right, I'll give you the choice. Either you do radio or you play with your friends. Now, which is it? And I chose radio to continue. So that was my own decision.
So, can you describe what it was like what you went out on stage, so you would have had an audience?
Some of the programs, the night programs at that time, had audiences.
The earlier or the later? Because you go back for the second.
They both had audiences.
Both would have had audiences. Mm-hmm. Okay. What about sound effects?
Well, sound effects were different then. We didn't have the way they do it now, computerized and everything. Things were, for instance, the two things like on a plunger.
So you had the old Foley table.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a big kettle drum type of thing. If it was thunder, they beat it like this with two little, those drum things that they used. And different, and the door, they would have it part of a door. And if it was a door, they'd open it and close it. And bells, the two round bells, you know, that you used to see on doors and stuff, they'd have those for bells. So it was really quite, unfortunately, when sound came in, the poor sound effects men were out of a job, you know. But it was fun, and I'm never sorry I did it.
Good.
I missed out on a lot, but it was an interesting life.
And you did a lot that other people have not experienced. So.
Well, I missed a lot too. I missed things I had to get. I started in public school, and when I was absent, I took care of my work. My friend gave me the homework, and I did everything I was supposed to do. And I got good grades. I wasn't really a scholastic type person, but I passed. I got a good grade all the time. And when it got into, I guess you'd call it middle school now, but we used to call it junior high. When I got into junior high, I was only there for about a month. And the assistant principal came along with the name of a tutor. So the rest of my schooling was done at a teacher's house. And she taught but that time she had about 8 altogether, all in different grades. And we learned, her nephew and myself were in the same grade, more or less. But some of the others were in lower grades. And that's how I finished. And I finished up in the 90s as a...
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I improved, you know. But, and languages. I love languages and spelling. I was very good at spelling. And I love languages, and it's easy for me to learn. I had French and German in school. And when we lived overseas, I learned Spanish.
Wow. Very good. Well, Jeannie, thank you for talking to us.
Oh, thank you.
And we'll be on the lookout for other cartoons that you might have been in. And there might be another interview coming.
Oh, thank you very
never know.
much. And thank you both so very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeannie.